Hey, Ratio to Greatness racers and everybody else who can eavesdrop in on this conversation with some beautiful people who mean a huge amount to me. This particular tribe of people who I'm speaking to have held me and I've held them for a number of months with a project called Ratio to Greatness, which is essentially us all holding each other accountable to our aspirations, setting a vision for our project, our output, but also, and I guess more importantly, the state of greatness. What is our individual aspiration? Where do we want to be? Not as necessarily a fixed final point, but instead as a state of being, the way. What's your daily practice? How do you envisage your avatar? What's the lifestyle you want to have around you? What effect you want to be having through the daily interactions? And Nadine had a lovely way of putting it in the present. So not necessarily seeing it as this greatness far off in the distance as something we'll achieve when we're, old and successful and whatever, wealthy or whatever it is. But instead, a state you can reach now, which can then, of course, improve, but it's an actual state. It's a condition of being. And I actually feel I stepped into it today in Athens, only the second day here. And it's really about being bold enough to stare yourself in the face. You've got this, I should speak for myself, I have this vision of how to be, of how to fully honor, how to open myself to the world, how to look at the people in the street and open and say, yes, I feel a resonance with you, this desire to find the others. And I've had it for years, and I've stepped out, Joseph Campbell's idea of call to action in the hero's journey. I've had the call before, and then I went back into hiding. And now I was warming up in Romania. Romania was a spoiled time. I mean, I went to co-facilitated a retreat up in the Transylvanian mountains and was fed amazing food every day and did yoga and led rewilding workshops in the hills. And then I went to Bucharest and, fell in with an amazing family and went and handmade bread outside of Bucharest. Anyway, really beautiful. And yet it felt still like a nourishing time of preparing me for what is happening now. So yesterday I arrived in Athens and I set myself the task of not relying on friends to link me with other friends. I just arrived with not knowing anyone. And look at me now, mummy. I'm in an amazing apartment in Athens through someone I met at a train station within half an hour of arriving here. And it was through serendipity and following chaos and trying to learn, the intuition, reading patterns and all that sort of stuff. And really bizarre, we've found so many mutual friends, one of which is Ono Kang, and some in London, UK, some in Australia. So this real scattered group of friends. But here I am in Athens with another shaman, clown, man of play, really enjoying sharing this space. And so today was my task, having had a nest. Today was my task to head out into Athens, new city, and continue playing the game. It's not enough just to find a place to stay. It's about finding all the possible touch points. And so what I wanted to report in was that I stepped into the state. I walked along the streets. This is after climbing a mountain and sitting and breathing and moving and meditating and just feeling like, cool, I'm here. I've arrived. Being in the sun, looking out over the vista of this entire city, white roof-topped out to the ocean. Amazing, like such a spoiled existence. But then I wanted to go into the city and meet people. So I went along and there's various tips, big open rubbish bins around, and I found this sign. Ooh, I can show you. So this is my sign. This is the official Open World Theatre. Can you see? Open World Theatre. That's the official Open World Theatre sign for Athens, Greece. And then I was walking along, and this is incredible. Look at what else I found. I found an entire theatrical backdrop curtain. I mean, it's too big to actually hold up. Anyway, full legit black theatre curtain that can now be hung anywhere in the street or on trees to create an open world theatre. So the idea with open world theatre is that we're unframing art. we're taking it from the confines of galleries or theaters or places where it's safe and just putting it in living spaces. Because art infuses life with so many possibilities and potentials. Hey Pax! Awesome. Lovely. Thanks for tuning in. And it's really nice to have the acknowledgement. So I'm really noticing putting these videos up. I really appreciate the comments, just to know that there's a dialogue, and lovely to hear that some people are gaining insight or having inspiration or just enjoying the ideas I'm sharing. So thanks a lot for that. Love you, brother. So there I was, having picked up a sign, created it, and then gifted, on the side of the street, a massive black theatre curtain. Also, open world theatre. It's also about untaming artists. I believe that every human being has a potent potential and humanity within them. And through our social conditioning, we are disenfranchised from our own innate sense of humanity. We start to not like humanity itself. It's viewed as a cancer, and we're turned against ourselves through media, through the news. And then, through fear of being weird or being judged or scaring people, artists in particular who have amazing imaginations and odd tendencies and great passion start to not listen to that voice of intuition, not really act out the beautiful, potent possibilities which could lead to new futures and alternate realities. So it's a big part of my drive to pair up with passionate, potent, bizarre pioneers, artists, educators, innovators of all sorts, leaders ultimately, who can have a lot of impact, great, beautiful ripples sending out into the world around them. And I want to work with them, particular artists, to liberate them into themselves. Not about me leading, but just holding space where they can be rewilded through creativity, through expression, and ultimately look at the map of their life and go on quests into it, having life as an adventure. And that's what I'm here to do. So I held a space in Athens, in public space. And I put my little sign down. I mean, I say little, it's decent size, but we're in Athens here. I'm walking around and there's these like pantheons and colosseums and pillars and, epic historic monuments. So I went down this main road and there were these huge buildings. I don't know what they're for, but there's all these Greek gods and statues around them. And I picked one that had this massive statue at the front and this big like curved stairwell. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to put my sign right there, right in the middle of the stairs in this beautiful clearing. And I just stood there and just started doing my warm-ups, getting into my body. And then I just stood there feeling ready and stared out. But what I noticed was I'd developed, over years of being on stage, I'm holding my space, this kind of like channel vision. I'm here doing a weird thing, standing openly on the top of the stairs, my little sign out. And I realized I wasn't really welcoming anyone into my space. I was just holding this performer's gaze, glare. And so I just softened my gaze and started to see people around me and allow my performance space to extend into the general street. And before long, this couple stopped in front of me, and the partner, the lady, tugged on the guy's hand and looked and said, "Hey," and was saying something in the distance. And they just stood opposite me, probably 12 or 15 meters away. It's a big space. And just stared back. And I had no plan. I was just being there. And I had a desire to put my hand on my heart as a thanks for them acknowledging me. And as my hand came up, I thought, actually, I'd like to shake their hand. And this is all done very slowly. For some reason, I was moving really slowly. And, of course, see you soon, Pax. And so I started just very slowly. For some people who might have done the stillness walk with me through the city, we walk very slowly as your body can manage while still maintaining movement. So I started moving towards them very slowly. And they mimicked and started moving towards me, but also very slowly. And anyway, after, who knows, maybe 10 minutes or so, we eventually reached each other and shook each other's hands and held each other, hugged each other, and then pulled apart. And then also very slowly, I said, "Thank you for taking the time to meet me." Yeah, I said it even slower than that. And they said, "Thank you for encouraging us to take the time," or something like that. And so that in itself was a beautiful practice, this idea of slowing down. And, there's lots of people passing, and it's having this little bit of art, which is at a different pace, and more a meditative, mindful rate or space, that will probably be ignored or driven over, past, zoomed past by many. But for those who do take the time to stop and wait, there's this moment waiting for them right there. So it was a lovely exercise or performance that just happened. But through that interaction, a number of other people started to take notice. I'm wearing this. I'm just all black with my tights. Thanks, Jasmine, for giving me these tights. And so I had a few people. There was 3 women over there to the right who were looking at me, having just witnessed the interaction. There's another woman who walked past, and I was just looking around, seeing who's there, and then caught her eye. And then so I was open to both, and I didn't know which one to engage with, this group here or that person there. So I just started to move forward, and then the person to the right started standing up to face me, to have an interaction too. So I thought, all right, cool. I'm going to go towards this person, started walking towards them slowly. And what I noticed was that, to some degree, I've created a little bit of a hierarchy by being a weird person who's willing to perform. I think that the performer often has a little bit of an upper hand because you're in the control, whereas the quote-unquote audience is just the passive observer. But I feel I flipped that a little bit by moving very slowly. It made it safer because any member of the public who didn't want to engage with me can easily move away. They're at a different pace, a different mindset. So there's no chance of them being cornered by me. So I've put myself at the underhand, but which actually leveled out the playing field. So myself and this new person started walking towards each other, and we held hands and curtsied for each other and thanked each other. And then one of her friends was standing to the side. And those who have trained in open world theatre know that none of this is acting. Each interaction is purely peering and gazing into this unique interaction you're having with another person. So I move across to this third person, and she's standing there, and she's got these piercing eyes just looking at me. Totally engaged, but not necessarily giving me anything, just holding space and looking at me. And I was just hit by this person, dropped to my knee, and was just, offering whatever I could. And fell in love. I fell in love today in Athens. Stood up, open to this person, and started walking towards them, but didn't want to have my glasses on, took my glasses off slowly. Couldn't see them, gazed, squinted, nothing. Decided just to close my eyes. So I'm probably 8 or 10 meters away. Just close my eyes, walk a bit wobbly, losing balance towards this person. And eventually, with my eyes closed, I feel my feet hit another person's feet. Hey, Joe. Awesome. Just reading a note here from Joe saying he was in Athens 3 months ago. Awesome, man. Yeah, some beautiful place. I'm really looking forward to meeting more artists here. Doing my bit, I thought just being out here in the street, making a little space, hopefully it'll be a bit of a beacon that other artists will come and approach me and we can have a play, and who knows where it'll lead. So anyway, there I was, eyes closed, walking forward, and my feet hit someone's feet and then just leant into that person and embraced. And it was the person who I'd locked eyes with in the crowd. And it was a beautiful moment of connection. I drew back and then saw her, and then just through not words but just sounds expressed my intention, my gratitude, my care. And then we turned to face the world together. So we're standing shoulder to shoulder, both looking out in the same direction. And then I went to go back to my sign. So reached out, grabbed her hand, gently walked forward, and our hands gently, epically, nostalgically, tragically parted. And I slowly walked back to my sign, and then she walked off into the distance, and I was so grateful. I turned around with a massive smile and realized that we artists are so lucky. We get to live 1,000 lives in one. We get to be shifted, we get to feel. And it was a beautiful temporary moment, to be in Athens, to fall in love, for the entire story to play out as some kind of metaphor or some kind of epic abstract engagement without any words, and then to leave. And it was a beautiful temporary aspect, fully engaged, fully devoted in that moment, and then it's gone. Beautiful moment of detachment. And this is all what part of Spinifex, the game, is teaching. It's about the open to what could be and what isn't. Never, no FOMO, no fear of missing out. Just huge gratitude for what happens to collide with you serendipitously as millions of paths weave their way throughout the globe. So in that moment, I really felt like I'd stepped into my state. This is a state I've been developing towards for so many years. I've done years and years of improvisational theatre training. I've done years and years of holding space for people to express themselves, to rewild. I've done years and years of travel. I've done years and years of physical practice. And I've come to a point now where I can have no plan. And I can stand out in a city I don't speak the language of, in a culture I'm not educated into or climatized to, and turn and face humanity in the streets and say, I'm here, I'm open, I'm willing to experience something with you. So I know this video has gone on for a bit, but I wanted to recount that story for all of those watching and who might re-watch this later on, and say I'm hugely relieved and thankful to myself. And if there's anything that anyone takes away from this entire trip I'm doing at the moment as Space Cassidy, as a journeyman, as someone who's stepping out and playing serendipity, being on the road, finding new economies, new ways of traveling and finding home, the one thing that I hope people take, not any of those details, because that's just my particular flavor, that's just what I particularly like, but it's just that I believe we have a state of greatness. This doesn't mean this is the pinnacle of my existence. Like, I mean, I hope to build great, grand things that affect many people and huge, epic artistic moments. But this way, the point is this way, the state of being, me being there, open, in public, unapologetically, doing it, stepping out, honoring my intention to go to a new city, not going the safe route, not going to friends of friends or talking myself out of it and doing a half-hearted attempt, but going right to the middle, standing there, opening, declaring it as open world theatre, standing there, unminding, waiting, no expectation, and waiting for the moments to come, which did. I thank myself for that, and I hope you're all inspired to do yourself that favor, because this is, I believe, a very sovereign existence. We create and craft all these patterns of interaction, all these contexts, all these roles, these stories, these channels of communication, but ultimately it only comes to our surface. Then we have to take those channels in and interpret them as our subjective reality. And then that is our internal world, complete with all our conscious and internal dialogue and self-judgment, all those sort of things. And that is the only place that we can ever truly have peace, and where we can truly work on a daily basis to honor self, to know you did it, to know you didn't hide from yourself, you didn't turn a blind eye, you didn't half-heartedly commit for fear of any external. Because any external judgment really doesn't matter. We're also self-obsessed. I mean, honestly, I was probably a blip on the radar of only a few. Take a time to stare yourself in the eyes. Envisage, really embody the feeling of that state of greatness. And I implore you, step into it and have that moment of bliss. And then who knows where it rolls to. Every day is a new life. Step into it again and again and again. And I wish you your own bliss. And I wish you that greatness. I look forward to where this leads. Thanks for watching. Big love to all the Race You to Greatness people. And have a quick look here. Thanks for the comments now and to come. And I'll just sit here in Athens looking forward to tomorrow.